Space is loud. Look in any direction and you'll find a constant wall of noise. Galaxies, dying stars, and spinning pulsars all blast out wideband radio frequencies, filling the void with a chaotic, never-ending static. In the summer of 1977, researchers weren't pointing antennas at the sky expecting to hear a message. They were simply cataloging this background radiation, mapping the baseline hum of the cosmos. The Big Ear radio telescope at Ohio State University was built for exactly this purpose. It was a massive, entirely passive instrument, quietly soaking in the ambient energy of the sky. Big Ear didn't actively track targets. It sat perfectly still. The telescope relied completely on the rotation of the Earth to sweep its listening beam across the stars, recording whatever happened to drift into view. Trying to find a deliberate, perfectly structured transmission in that ocean of cosmic static should be a mathematical impossibility. Then came August 15, 1977. The background static abruptly broke. A remarkably powerful transmission cut through the noise, flooding the receivers for exactly 72 seconds. That 72-second duration matched exactly a fixed point in deep space passing Big Ear's view. Signal intensity rose, peaked, and fell symmetrically. Across frequencies, notice the sharp spike piercing wideband cosmic static, matching exactly what scientists expected an artificial broadcast to look like. Days later, astronomer Jerry Ehman was conducting a routine review of the telescope's physical data printouts. Scanning down the columns, his eyes caught a highly anomalous sequence of letters and numbers, 6EQUJ5. He circled it in red ink and wrote a single word in the margin. That instant of realization christened the wow signal. But the data offered no immediate answers, leaving researchers in an investigative vacuum to figure out exactly what kind of object could generate something so precise. In observational science, a single data point is functionally useless. For an event to be confirmed as real, it has to be reproducible. You have to be able to see it again. Researchers scrambled to point telescopes back toward the exact same coordinates, hoping to catch a second transmission and verify the source. Hours of searching yielded nothing. Those hours turned into days. The days slowly stretched into months. The initial adrenaline of discovery curdled into deep frustration. It was the scientific equivalent of answering a profound phone call, only for the line to go dead and the number to disappear from existence. Without a repeat event, the wow signal became an orphaned anomaly. It was undeniably etched onto the physical datasheet, but impossible to verify by the standard rules of science. To solve the problem, researchers began crossing conventional explanations off the list. The first assumption was terrestrial interference, perhaps a classified military satellite, or an Earth-based transmission bouncing off atmospheric debris. This chart visualizes the electromagnetic spectrum. It shows a globally protected astronomical band where all human radio transmissions are strictly banned. The wow signal landed dead center in this restricted space. It didn't come from us. Attention then shifted to rare natural events. Years later, some recent research proposed an entirely new astronomical suspect, a passing comet. The logic relies on the massive clouds of hydrogen gas surrounding a comet's core. Under the right conditions, those clouds could theoretically emit radio waves at the exact frequency Big Ear recorded. But the physical behavior doesn't quite fit. A comet moves sluggishly across the sky. Many researchers argue that a slow-moving gas cloud entirely fails to match the abrupt, powerful, tightly defined 72-second profile captured in the original data. Which leaves the final hypothesis: extraterrestrial intelligence. The lack of a repeat signal means scientists refuse to claim we heard from an alien civilization. But the failure of every natural explanation means they cannot definitively say we didn't. Because every conventional hypothesis falls short of fully accounting for the hard data, the wow signal successfully survived the scientific method's attempt to kill it. It remains an open mystery. Nearly 50 years later, the search hasn't stopped. Vastly superior telescopes and dedicated SETI operations continue to monitor that exact patch of the sky. Yet, despite decades of continuous observation and technological upgrades, the void remains perfectly silent. To understand this silence, you have to factor in the scale of deep space. The universe is 13.8 billion years old. Against that unimaginable timeline, our technological infancy is barely a rounding error. Human civilization has possessed the capability to listen to the stars for less than a single century. Our desperate expectation to catch a repeat transmission is the equivalent of dropping in on 1 second of a year-long symphony. Silence doesn't mean no one is playing. It highlights how little time we've spent listening. There is the real possibility that the wow signal was a 1 in a billion alignment of natural cosmic forces, an astrophysical event we do not yet have the physics to understand. But there is also the haunting alternative, that the signal was exactly what it looked like, and we simply haven't been waiting long enough to catch the next transmission. In an ancient, sprawling universe, maybe the real mystery isn't why we heard one clear signal. Maybe the mystery is why we haven't heard another. Subscribe to Anomalous Lore, where every mystery begins with real science and sometimes ends with far more questions than answers.